Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Cons of Tarkir. We're in Hawaii. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth. I've got Randy Bueller, I've got Zach Hill with me, and we are ready to head down to the feature match area for Owen Turtenwald versus Mike Sigrist. Now, this is an important one, Randy. We are in round 15 of the tournament. Only one round left after this, and this match has big top 8 implications.
Definitely. Owen needs to win this round and then hopefully pick up a draw next round. Sigrist needs to draw one of the next two, or win and play Dream Crusher, as the case may be. I'm actually really interested to watch this matchup play out, too, because Sigrist is on the Obzon aggro deck, not the mid-range deck everybody else has played. No coursers, no Caryatids. He is, Herald of Torment instead.
Yes.
He's definitely coming out, trying to beat down, and that should, I think, give him an edge here against Owen Turtenwald, who's on the blue-black control list that about half of Pantheon is running.
Now, what do you make of this matchup, Zach?
I mean, I'm just fascinated to see how Sigrist sequences these plays. I mean, you've got every one of your threats essentially is a must-answer threat. On the other hand, you have, these Hero's Downfall in his hand. Doesn't really accomplish very much in this matchup. You've got threats that are cheap enough to get in under your opponent's counter magic, and yet are still very powerful in the late game. This is truly a matchup. It's a classic match. Sigrist has a lot of threats. Turtenwald has a lot of answers, and I think where it's going to come down to who plays their cards better.
Now, the big pressure here is on Owen, right? Like, Owen with a loss here puts himself in a tough spot to make top 8, though maybe not completely out of contention, but Sigrist actually has a bit of a loss to give here. So this is an interesting one.
19.
Ari Lax and Sean McLaren did draw.
Okay. That makes sense. So we got 2 members into the top 8 then.
Take it 16.
Yeah, the math gets tricky depending on the pairings and depending on who wins the pair down rounds here. I've heard people speculating that at least one person's going to get in on 12 and 4, and as many as possibly even 3 or 4 people could get in on 12 and 4.
So this Era of the Wilds right now, it's the question is it going to get dissolved? Is it going to get Heroes Downfalled? Does Owen even particularly care about it?
Is there a Urborg somewhere?
Yeah, there's an Urborg.
Okay, I was like, where is the Urborg? Because I know there's one here somewhere. Yeah.
It turned on both of Owen's removal spells,
wow.
actually.
Yeah, Bile Blight and Hero's Downfall now live. And his Evolving Wilds is also now just a swamp.
Well, of course, Owen has the Urborg in his hand.
No reason to let Mike Sigrist know about that, though.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like might as well get some rub-ins.
Yeah, make Sigrist feel bad.
Now, how bad is this for Owen here? He's fallen down to 14 life here, and he's currently being beaten down.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, he survived the first 4 turns of the game, and he's still got 14 life points left.
Well, and I think the operative thing is that he's got dig through time. I mean, every single time that he 1-for-1 Sigrist, it just gets him closer to casting this spell that is just so powerful. I mean, it really is the incentive to be in this color combination. And, yeah, I mean, Dissolve just doing that. I mean, when you're an aggro deck, I mean, that Era of the Wild is just a literal 2-2 for 2. I mean, none of the rest of the text on the card matters.
No.
It's not the most powerful clock when you're trying to end the game quickly against a blue-black control opponent.
This deck designed, I believe, by Andrew Cuneo.
Yes. Owen's deck is a Cuneo special, for sure.
Mike Sigrist is on Team Face-to-Face Games, and they came up with this Obzon aggro deck while testing here in Hawaii for the week. Owen Turtenwald is on Team Channel Fireball, the Pantheon. Really the dominant team of the last, call it, year or so.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
They've got a couple guys in that X4 scrum as well. Read Andrew Cuneo among them.
The deck's
yeah.
designer there. So Sigrist, I mean, he can cast Fleece Mainline. He can hold up Charm, Downfall mana. I think with 4 mana, he's going to want to wait on that Herald of Torment. And Owen has access to dig through time, but literally nothing else right now. So this is a big dig through time for Owen.
God, it just always hits. I've been down in the feature match area on and off throughout the day watching the players and looking at 7 cards. You just seem to find what it is you need almost every time. It's so deep into your library.
Yeah, 7 cards, a lot of cards, that's for sure.
I mean, look at that grip that
I saw
Owen has
Hero's
to choose
Downfall.
from.
Is there? Oh, that is a Perilous Vault. Yeah, Perilous Vault is the one removal spell that where he can actually turn a profit. He can trade better than 1-for-1. Super expensive, 9 total mana.
Yeah, I see he's also got a Jace's Ingenuity in that pile as well. and he can use that to generate a lot of card advantage as well. He does need time to do it, though. He's got to get that pressure off his back so he can take a turn off to cast a spell like Jason's Ingenuity and just reload.
So it looks like he did take the Jace's Ingenuity.
To keep the Perilous Vault.
Yeah, and the Vault. Vault, a card that, you know, when it came out, didn't really make much noise, but we're seeing a lot of decks playing 4 copies of that card.
Here it is, and Owen at 13 is like, well, you know what?
17.
I can go ahead and take a hit from whatever you got here.
Yep.
And this is an interesting interplay, too, because you'll see this pretty often, is that now Sigrist is like, well, I don't want to play anything. I'm not going to play something into your vault. So it actually limits, you know, what Sigrist can do on his turn.
And if what you're doing is playing around in hostilities, you'd be thrilled to just jam Soren down there, attack for 2 more damage, and have a Planeswalker.
Yes.
But you can't do that against Perilous Vault.
Super interesting card, Perilous Vault. The fact that it takes care of permanents of all types is really, really fascinating as a sweeper. It is, of course,
16.
much more clunky than a card like End Hostilities. For the fact that it's colorless, you do pay.
So Sigrist sacking his land. Question is, I mean, do you cast something right now? I mean, that is... I mean, you certainly don't want to deploy anything else to the board. We're going to see him cast Abzan Charmer.
Draw 2.
Yeah,
sure.
and he's going to draw a couple of cards with it as well. One of the many great modes on Abzan Charm. We have seen all 3 modes in the feature match area over the course of the weekend so far. We've seen +1/+1 counters distributed. We've seen cards drawn, and we've seen creatures exiled as well.
It looks like he's doing that in main phase so that he can hit another land drop.
Ah.
And dodge counters.
Yeah, right.
Now, on Owen's side of the board, he just wants to hit land drops forever, right, Randy? Just
Pretty
never
much.
stop hitting land drops?
No, his spells are super expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, Perilous Vault, having 9 is useful. And, you know, Pearl Lake Ancient is the finishing creature in this. Sometimes you pick it up lands to save that, so you want as many of them in play when you start that cycle as possible.
And one of the things that we saw when we were watching earlier, wow.
By the way, Zach, sorry to interrupt you, but here's Aether Spouts.
Yeah, Sigrist
not even sure what it does.
Not
Yeah.
quite.
That is a beating.
That is such a beating with the Perilous Vault sort of looming there. Like, how much do you want to recommit to the board? Because it ends up playing into Owen Turtenwald's strengths, because it incentivizes Sigrist to play 1 major threat per turn, but then Owen can just pick those off with 1-for-1s while reloading his hand with cards like...
If you put both of them on top, you do not have to explain which order they are in.
let's
but if you put one on top
listen
and
in.
one on the bottom, you just need to indicate which one is which.
Okay, this one's certainly going on the bottom.
Okay.
Heir of the Wilds, he wants to have no part of it. The question is, does he want the other creature?
I mean, Herald of Torment's got to be better than your average draw.
Yeah,
doesn't
I
it?
would expect it to be. Unless there's something particular you're digging to, but looking at his list, there
No.
really isn't anything.
I mean, Siege Rhinos are nice because they come into play
Sure.
and drain for 3. Owen at 8, though, so I mean, it would take 3 Siege Rhinos resolving.
On top, which
Yes,
Yeah,
you
the
did.
Herald's on top.
Okay, good.
All right, so Herald of Torment goes on top. Heir of the Wilds goes on the bottom. And Owen's got to feel pretty great about that sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, he survived with 8 points of life. He's in a decent spot, but these control decks, it's not like they have the true hammer like a Sphinx's Revelation to just completely ice the game.
Right, and relevantly, Pearl Lake Ancient, their finisher that stabilizes against a lot of decks, doesn't actually do that much against a Herald of Torment that can take anything to the skies. One of the things it does do, you were talking about what the deck can do with excess lands. We saw earlier in the feature match area, the deck using Pearl Lake Ancient to rebuy its lands that gain life,
Right.
as well as its temples
Yeah,
to
we
actually
saw,
scry.
I think it was maybe 1 or 2 of them,
Radiant
a
Fountain.
Radiant Fountain floating
Yep.
around in the list.
It's a 1 of.
It's just a 1 of.
Scrylands are also nice to rebuy, obviously.
Yeah. All right, so here's Soren, Solemn Visitor,
5 to
producing a
16.
vampire and now plussing to make 3 damage, hit Owen Turtenwald to drop him down to 5. Sigrist gains some life back off the sequence.
Yeah, Owen would like to cast a Jace's Ingenuity here. He doesn't really want to spend his mana activating the vault.
No, but he has one, so here we go. Jace's Ingenuity. 1, 2, 3. I think I saw that Radiant Fountain in there somewhere.
It's actually pretty nice because He doesn't really want to go below 3. He doesn't
No.
want to be obliged to counter every Siege Rhino if he can help it.
Right, and going back up to 7 means that he's, 2
He can take
Siege
another
Rhinos
hit.
proof. Yeah.
It also means he can take another hit from this Vampire.
Right.
I mean, he'd like to Perilous Vault during Sigrist's end step rather than the middle of his combat phase.
Right. He doesn't want to have to tap low and not be able to dissolve everything Sigrist puts on the board. I mean, Jason's Ingenuity, a big deal. We see another Vault, Downfall, Bile Blight. So Turtenwald has a lot of answers. But Sigrist has a lot of threats. I mean, Fleece Mane Lion plus an activation means that he's going to need a Vault to deal with it.
He just drew a Siege Rhino.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Owen is, I don't know if he actually had the Radiant Fountain, but hasn't played it and has decided to Perilous Vault away.
Okay, then it must have been something else. Maybe it was another Perilous Vault. We'll have to see next turn. But in the meantime, he does fire off the Perilous Vault here to wipe the board clean. And there is
A Fleece Mane.
a Fleece Mane Lion, but it's not the most threatening lion, as Sigrist doesn't have 5 lands right now.
It would have been so unbelievable if Sigrist could have played the 5th land there. I mean, I would blank both the Bile Blight and the Hero's Downfall, but yeah, he doesn't have it, meaning that either of Turtenwald's removal spells serve as answers right now.
Now, here's an
Doesn't-
interesting spot for Turtenwald, because if he gets drained, which he did,
Yeah, doesn't he have a Perilous Vault in his
he
hand,
does
we
have
said?
another Perilous
Yeah,
Vault
so
in
he's
his
got
hand.
enough mana now to just play and activate a Perilous
Oh,
Vault.
yeah, sure. I think that, I mean, yeah, it works. It makes it harder for him to
Right.
leverage
But
his
see, he
counter
doesn't
spells.
want to lose the life, because if he plays and activates a Vault, then he's
dies to a
dead to
Rhino.
another Siege
Right.
Rhino. So Owen peels, I believe, an Aether Spouts there. And there's that Urborg he's had since the opener. Bile Blight to take down the Fleece Mane Lion. And here's a Perilous Vault. So does Owen Turtenwald have enough control here at 5 life to run this thing out? I mean, Sigrist has, what, 4 or 5 spells in his hand right now? He's not done yet either.
Yeah, Sigrist, Herald of Torment, Fleece Mane Lion, Abzan Charm to draw extra cards, all very relevant. Turtenwald has another dig through time.
Sure.
And he hasn't seen a Pearl Lake Ancient yet, so you have to expect that to be hitting the battlefield relatively soon.
Downfall's going to take down Herald of Torment here. And Sigrist says, while I've got you basically tapped out, I'm going to take advantage of that and play a little Abzan Charm here. Draw himself a couple cards.
Yeah.
This was on end step. He drew a Thoughtseize, which might come in handy, but it won't at the moment.
The Thoughtseize is an unbelievable follow-up. If all Turtenwald has is dig through time, but he drew another dig through time. But a lot of the time, you're not going to have the mana to both dig and be able to cast something powerful in response to it.
Thanks to Delve, though, it looks like Owen is going to have plenty of mana available, including Dissolve / Heroes Downfall mana and activation of his Perilous Vault if needed. So this is where he wants to get. The question is, has Mike drawn enough cards off of his Abzan Charms to be able to find a way to get through the last 5 damage? It's starting to feel like no. It's starting to feel like Owen has seized control of the game here. But I have definitely seen control players lose from a similar position, so it's not over yet. And there's a Dissolve on Thoughtseize.
One of the great things about Sigrist's Thoughtseize is that in a lot of matchups, you draw a Thoughtseize this late in the game, it's dead. Against Owen, it's still one of the best cards that he can draw.
Yeah. And are we going to see a Fleece Mane Lion here? There
Looks
it
like
is.
we are. Boom.
Down it goes.
Owen down to 1 card in hand, though.
Yeah.
Sigrist has 3 cards to Owen's 1. Now, Owen's 1 card is a dig through time.
Take 1 and cast Absent Charm or something?
Sure, so you're down to 10.
Yeah, resolve.
Wow, so Sigrist with his 3rd I mean, who needs dig through time, right? He's got Abzan Charm. He's just chaining them together here.
And I mean, Sigrist...
You're not going to convince me that draw 2 is better than look at 7, keep 2.
All right. That
Oh,
is
wow.
also not a fight I'm willing to take. So here's Jace's Ingenuity to just draw 3. Again, Owen, keep hit those land drops and has that Perilous Vault just sitting over there waiting. Ooh, that was a Siege
another
Rhino
Siege
off
Rhino.
the top, though.
And Owen does not have a counterspell right now, right?
I believe he has Aether Spouts, Murderous Cut, and Dig Through Time. It might be double Dig Through Time instead. But he's got, I don't think he has any counters, yeah. Yeah, double Dig Through Time, Murderous Cut. That's a Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
Resolves.
Wow, so that's going to resolve. Perilous Vault does not help against that Interest of Battlefield trigger. And Sigrist has Turtenwald down to 2 here in the opening game.
How many Siege Rhinos has he gone through? Is that the second one?
I think that is the second one, yeah.
That's a must kill.
Yeah, 2 more left in the deck. That is by far the most likely way for him to win, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, getting a creature not only in play, but surviving removal long enough to attack is a lot harder than just summoning a Siege Rhino.
And he's going to Murderous Cut it, making sure to maintain everything in his graveyard for that dig through time when he needs it.
Yeah, Vault can answer a Planeswalker, whereas Cut can't. So
Right.
keep the Vault around for dealing with the next threat that resolves.
And he's made sure to tap out there so that he can dig through time to find counter spells in case he faces down more Siege Rhinos. Randy, are there any other, non-attacking ways for Sigrist to get in these last 2 points of damage? Is there some charm?
I mean, it's just the Obzon Charm, which does not have a relevant
That doesn't
ability.
do it. So
No.
So no.
It's just the other 2 Siege Rhinos.
All right. So Owen knows what he needs to protect against, at least in the near term.
And Owen does have his Pearl Lake Ancient, so that is the finisher that he has been, well, one of the many things he's been digging to. Sigrist has
Yes.
enough Heroes Downfalls to not die too quickly.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Owen goes up to 3 and then casts Thought Seize
Wow.
down to 1. Well, congratulations to Andre Strosky. He's taken 2 games already. He defeats Spencer Garnier, and Andre Strosky shakes off the loss last round and puts himself in a position to try to draw into top 8.
Now, this Era of the Wilds here is really interesting because, I mean, no other threat in Sigrist's deck besides Herald of Torment could attack through Pearl Lake
Yeah,
Ancient.
you're right.
Era of the Wild does it just fine.
That's funny. He might actually have to use Perilous Vault to kill the 2/2 Air of the Wilds.
Yeah.
It is a lethal attacker in this scenario.
Death Touch is a relevant ability after all? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, turns out.
Against the control deck. All right, now he has found another copy of Jace's Ingenuity.
Ivan Flock takes a game, by the way, in the control-on-control fight against Greg Orange.
It is tough to win a control mirror against Ivan Flock. He will not give that up easily.
It's a pretty quick one, too. We're still in game 1 here.
Sure.
Jace's Ingenuity for Turtenwald. He does find
Hero's
a spot
Downfall.
removal spell with Hero's Downfall.
Go.
I think we can just count his lands to see what turn we're on if we were interested in that.
That looks like another Obzon Charm for Sigrist.
All right.
Good.
Hero's Downfall and nothing from Mike Sigrist. He's got his 4th Obzon Charm in hand, but doesn't fire it off. And that, I think, yes, there it is. We found the Radiant Fountain.
Which he can now chain with Pearl Lake Ancient if he, for some reason, needs to do that.
He can, yes. The difference between 1 and 3 is not that relevant against
Right.
Sigrist. The difference between 3 and 4 is.
Yes.
Tiago Saporito leads 1-0 against Adam Jansen.
And there it is, Pearl Lake Ancient, and it's going to attack. This is a 2-turn clock. Yes, it's a 6/7, but it's also got prowess. That means any spell from Owen on his turn will produce a lethal attacker here. So 1 more turn potentially for Turtenwald here to seal up game 1. But
Wow.
nope,
Sigrist does have Hero's Downfall in his hand.
he does. And
It's not gonna
also
kill the
he's
Pearl
got
Lake Ancient?
Rakshas's Death Dealer, which has regeneration as well.
Sure. Yeah, we start playing the shenanigans where Owen, he's going to float some mana, he's going to pick up the Pearl Lake Ancient and 3 lands.
And then pop that Perilous Vault.
Yeah, I think it may be time to pop the
Activate.
vault.
Yeah.
Sure. Use this.
And there it
There's
is.
the Ancient on
Yeah,
end step
Death
again.
Dealer's exile.
Oh, sorry.
Cast a spell.
Resolves.
It's an Obzon charm window.
Still during end
Ooh.
step, he's going to fire off the
Pick it up
the
again.
Hero's Downfall. It was just going to force Owen to pick it up again. He's not going to be able to recast it again on end step. So this will save Sigrist from dying potentially on Owen's turn, but
Up to 5.
back up to 5
Goodness.
for Turtenwald.
Yeah.
So now he's out of range of a single Siege Rhino. By the way,
Okay,
Owen's
start
used his mana
discarding.
like every single turn, and he does have one fetch land hiding in there that's been used as a swamp for the duration
Oh, yeah.
of this game. And remember,
Urborg.
Owen went down to 1. Like,
Right. Yeah, Urborg made a big difference this game.
All right, and that's going to do it. Owen Turtenwald takes the first game from Mike Sigrist.
Wow.
We'll be back after these messages.
Outfit your Magic collection with the newest Cons of Tarkir accessories from Ultra Pro. You can see the full array of card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios of your favorite Magic artwork at ultrapro.com. You've watched the Pro Tour. How about playing on the Pro Tour? Qualifiers for Pro Tour Favorite Forged are going on now around the world, with winners earning an invitation and airfare to Washington, D.C. in February. Visit wizards.com/PTQ for more information.
All right, as you can see, we've got one of our matches already finished in the feature match area, but we're going to head over to see what Tiago Saporito and Adam Jansen are up to. These players are both sitting in 11-3, very much live for top 8.
Yeah, every round in every match in the feature match area this round is probably a win and in. It is certainly a win and draw in. Win and hope to draw in.
Now, it's interesting. Jansen on a Naya mid-range. Now, this format is about wedges, not shards. The, enemy color rather than allied color pairs. I don't know, thinking about Naya mid-range, the deck that I expected to see coming into this tournament, but Jansen's doing very well with it.
And it looks like we have a mulligan here. Unfortunately, our other table is also experiencing similar mulligan difficulties, so we'll just stick here for the moment.
Really not very many Cons of Tarkir cards in Adam Jansen's deck list.
Really?
I'm looking at it. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you said, Enter the Dragon, right? He's got a couple Sarkons. That's... What, do you see anything?
One of the reasons it's called Enter the Dragon's got 4 copies of Stormbreath Dragon, 2 copies of Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. But yeah, I think Sarkhan looks to be the only cons card in the main deck, besides some very important ones in 4 copies of Wooded Foothills, 4 copies of Windswept Heath.
Sure.
So that's kind of what enables this mana base to work.
Yeah, Tiago Saporito. Well, pretty straightforward Abzan mid-range deck. I don't know about straightforward. I mean, he's got an Onofensa hanging out. 4 Wingmate Rocks is pretty awesome.
All right, looks like we're underway here. And a pretty standard opener that we're used to seeing these days, which is there's an Elvish Mystic on one side, there's a Thoughtseize on the other. Jansen reveals his hand, which is Courser of Krufix, Genesis Hydra, Elspeth, and a land.
I've just got to say, looking through Jansen's deck, it is now my favorite deck at the tournament.
Jumped right up, did it?
Into this deck. We've got Fated Conflagration, sort of an underplayed card. 4 Elspeths, just a bunch of monsters. A bunch of Planeswalkers, solid removal, 4 Banishing Light. This deck does not mess around. It's got some hits in the sideboard. Revel the Fallen God, Genesis Hydra, Hornet Queen. It likes to go big. All right.
He can even blow up Perilous Vault with 3 copies of Destructive Revelry.
Yeah, and
Wow.
get some value in the process. Also really good against that Jeskai Ascendancy combo deck. Actually, Destructive Revelry just seems like a card that's
Yeah, it
really
does.
good right now.
It sure does.
Well, I don't know
Because of
anyone
that
would-
card right there. Courser of Krufix.
That is another thing that it kills, for sure.
All right, there's a Stormbreath jumping into the hand of Adam Jansen. and he's
Saporito's even got
revealing
it back to nature in his board.
another one.
Wow.
I got a chance to see a little bit of Saporito play, and his deck is not short on power level either. I saw him end hostilities to completely blow out a mono green Devotion player who had played
nice.
turn 4. This is a turn 4 Hornet Queen, and
Oh my
felt
goodness.
pretty proud of himself until hostilities were immediately ended.
Yeah, that Green Devotion deck was really, I think, the deck with the target on its forehead coming in. It had the best performances on Magic Online in the last week, and sort of everybody knew about it. Everybody had a good version. Everybody tested against it. Some people played it. Like half of Pantheon played a version that they thought was favored to win the mirror. But now here we are deep in the tournament. I haven't seen it at the top of the Swiss in
I
a
haven't
while.
either.
You were talking about Back to Nature. How unbelievable would Back to Nature have been against both those coursers
no
that turn?
kidding.
Looks like Saporito had a courser of his own.
And another one on top of his library. It's coursers all over the place in the feature match area here. There's 3 on the battlefield, 1 upcoming.
And finally, Jansen hits his 3rd land. He's been waiting on it for, I think, 3 turns.
Yep, there it is. It's a critical second red mana source for him, too. As you mentioned, cards like that one, Sarkhan, and also Fated Conflagration. It takes triple red, so He's going to need to get the mountains flowing here, but he's on his way.
I think Saporito may have missed a land drop also.
One courser bounces off of another, but that leaves 2 damage to get through.
So that's always a
There's
blowout.
another courser.
Man, my
What's going on?
goodness.
I mean, Saporito is... He clearly would just prefer a land at this point, but I guess if you're going to shields up with coursers, it's not that bad either.
Owen Turtenwald taking a mulligan on our main table, by the way.
Okay. Okay, Jansen. Yeah, I mean, this is why Courser is one of the best cards in the format. I mean, you know, and start to draw you extra cards, gain you a bunch of life, fix your white mana, as the case may be.
Curious what that card on top is, and it looks like Saporito is too.
We got a reader.
Is that Borber? What is that? That's not legal. What
Is that
card is
Revel
it?
of the Fallen
Revel of the
God?
Fallen God.
Yeah.
Right, I remember that.
Absolutely. Good combo with Xenagos, Xenagos the Reveler.
It's also a good combo with a bunch of mana and your opponent's life total, it turns out.
Right.
All right, and there's Sarkin, but he actually can't do that.
Yeah.
Jansen has priority, and now he can fire it off.
Slightly less interested now.
Well,
I
Seen
think he
enough.
just said, you know what, we've had about enough here. And that was the game
That was
going
game
to
2.
Jansen.
They're now
there.
going to game 3.
Okay.
Saporito had won game 1 before we got here. Wow, 1 game for the right
Jeez.
to hopefully draw into top 8.
I mean, it is unreal how brutal it is to be in this scenario. I mean, I remember when I was in this position, it was one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life.
Yes. All right, let's jump back over to our main feature match. Mike Sigrist versus Owen Turtenwald. Team face-to-face games versus Team Channel Fireball, the Pantheon, facing off here. Two of the bigger teams out there, Pantheon, the biggest. And they are ready to go. So let's see. Owen was able to kind of just stay half a step ahead of Sigrist for the duration of game 1 there. You know, he was just ahead, just enough. And he got all the way down to 1 life at one point, but was able to finish it off with his primary mode of finishing Pearl Lake Ancient. Can he do it here?
And this is just a much better hand from Sigrist. He had Hero's Downfalls clogging his hand for most of game 1. He's replaced those with much better threats in the early Fleecemane Lion, Anafenza into Siege Rhino Mana Curve, as well as Thoughtseize, which is probably the best card in this matchup.
Is that our first Anafenza sighting in the feature match area?
That's the first one
Hanging
since
out
I've been in the
Sigrist's
booth.
hand?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty efficient. It's a turn 3 play.
Yeah, I mean, that is a crazy clock, and relevantly, it does
Wow.
not die to Bile Blight, nor does it get countered with Disdainful Stroke.
Wow, that is 7 power on the battlefield on turn 3. Let's reduce that back down a little bit, though, and make it a 4/4. So Bile-Blight takes down the Fleecemane Lion, but still, Anafenza battling here. Now, no creatures are going to be able to go to the graveyard for Owen, but that's not an issue for him.
Yeah, I mean, and Owen's just in a bad spot
He's
right
in
now.
a
He
terrible
just does
spot.
not have an answer for Anafenza, and he's about to lose that dig through time if that's what Mike wants to take. He also has the option of Bile Blight or Disdainful Stroke. You have to expect it won't be Disdainful Stroke, and yeah, dig is what goes. All of a sudden, Owen, very short clock.
Now, no follow-up play there from Sigrist because he had to play a tapped land with the Sandstep. So, you know, it's interesting because, you know, curving right into a Rhino there would have been absolutely absurd, right? Like, can you imagine? 3/3, 4/4, 4/5, but
Would have run into Disdainful Stroke.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, the question right here is, do you just cast something into Stroke, or do you just say,
No.
look, I don't want to let you
I'll wait.
fill your graveyard for dig. I'm just
going
going
to
to say go.
make you deal with this Anafenza. You'll probably have to tap some mana to do it, like for Perilous Vault.
There we go. And Owen knows the name of this game, so he just says, sure, yeah, I know how this works out.
6.
Right,
And this is going to drop Owen down to 6.
And Owen's mana really awkward because if he taps 5 for
I go to 3.
the
7,
vault, he can't cast Disdainful Stroke next turn. So
Yes.
it's like Sigrist is setting up back-to-back Siege Rhinos
Yes.
to try and just burn Owen out of this match.
Yeah, Siege Rhino, one of the cards that really people had their eye on from Khans of Tarkir. And Sigrist, you know, other people seem to have looked in other directions, but Sigrist is like, that's my guy. I asked him, I said, what's the best card in the deck? He said, Rhino, not close. He said, this is the card. This is a reason to play this deck. And he's got Owen Turtenwald well against the ropes here as he's going to force Owen to tap that mana for the Perilous Vault in combat. And he's going to be able to follow up with a Siege Rhino.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause Owen can't not activate the vault,
No.
and we're going to see another Rhino. Looks like we're about to go to game 3.
Owen goes to pick up his lands before the Rhino even
Yeah,
comes down.
Owen knew it was coming. He had to play
Yeah.
it that way, but what an
Yeah,
ideal
yeah.
curve for Sigrist there. That was nasty.
Indeed.
I mean, that's the thing about the blue-black deck is that when it wins, the games go on for forever. You just get to see it dominate. But I mean, that there was just nothing you could do about on offense, and that really was the entire game right there.
Let's go check in on Tiago Saporito versus Adam Jansen again. They're still moving on to their game 3, and it looks like it's underway with the Thoughtseize early here from Saporito.
I want to give a couple results from off the feature match area, by the way. Yuya Watanabe, still in it.
He won.
He won. He defeated Maciej Janek from Poland. So Yuya is 11-4, and at the top of the tiebreakers, probably controls his own destiny next round, even though he's on 4 losses. The guy who was second in tiebreakers coming into this round is 16th ranked player in the world, Li Shitian. He also won. He took out Masashi Oiso.
Wow.
So Oiso, the Hall of Famer, is no longer in top 8 contention, but still going to be quite a nice finish for him, whatever happens the last round.
And Jansen getting his Sarkin stripped away by Thoughtseize Fleecemane Lion from Saporito, providing a clock. And is Jansen having mana problems again?
Well, it was Saporito that had the problems last time, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they both did. Jansen eventually drew out of it first, but he missed a couple land drops of his own. But yeah, Saporitos were more dangerous. So not the triple red needed for Fated Conflagration. Might not have an immediate answer to that Lion.
Yeah, one more mana for Saporito means that he can make that line indestructible.
End of turn. End of turn, I'll play this guy.
And hexproof and a bit bigger too, which is going to put it out of range of really anything that Adam can come up with. Now, I don't know how big of a deal that is, 4/4 that just kind of never goes away, but it seems like
Return this guy, bouncing back.
it's a long-term issue there for Jansen if that happens.
And Jansen does have access to a Satyr token every turn. Not exactly the situation you want to be in. Going to lose that Xenagos if Saporito has any removal spell for that Centaur. But Xenagos representing at least 1 more mana, too, because of the Elvish Mystic.
And he does. There it is. Hero's downfall.
So
Satyr down.
Those satyrs weren't made for blocking.
No,
That's not what they do.
That's not what they're going to do.
that one's not.
And Xenagos getting walked all over by the Fleecemane Lion.
I'm not going to encourage this. But just
Marshall just groaning over here.
I am.
Oh, man. And again, not the 3rd red source for Fated Conflagration, so...
Yeah, there's that window again, Zach.
Exactly.
Huh. But Saporito did miss it last turn, so he is going to be relying on the top of his deck to find him that 5th mana to get the Fleecemane Lion monstrous, if that is what his game plan is. It's risky business if he wants to go for that if Jansen isn't tapped out. Jansen's going to get in there for 1 with his elf first, but what does he have for a follow-up? Nothing. So this is probably going to make it Saporito's line a bit different. He doesn't want to run into a lightning strike or something here.
Right.
Yeah, he has to find the land too.
I mean, you'd expect your opponent to lightning strike when you're tapped out. I mean, well,
Yeah.
and now you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have perfect information.
Yes. All right.
Okay, so Banishing Light, yeah, just Jansen doesn't have access to white mana.
No. There's a Genesis Hydra sitting there as well. An Elspeth. The Fated Conflagration is what he takes here.
It's Sigrist's turn to take a mulligan on the main table, by the way.
Looks like a life total discrepancy of some sort.
Adam Jansen's a regular on the GP circuit.
So this is interesting here. Jansen has access to 5 mana, but even if he top decks his 6th land, cannot cast Elspeth because he needs 2 white sources to do it. That means that he's looking at some removal spell that he can't cast either in the Banishing Light. Elspeth that he can't cast. What can he actually do with 5 mana?
He could play like a Sarkon if he had that.
I know he has 4 copies of Stormbreath Dragon in his deck.
Yeah, that's the kind of card that would be reasonable here. And it looks like that's what he's got here, Zach. Yeah, good read. There's his Stormbreath. And in it comes. All right, so now he's taken a much more proactive role in this game. Doesn't have to worry quite as much about what Saporito does as far as that Fleecemane Lion goes.
Yeah, Fleecemane Lion does not match up well against Stormbreath Dragon for a lot of reasons.
No, but it does look like that's what Saporito's doing. He's going to Monstrous the Fleecemane Lion and get in there. And I got to say, I think if I'm in Jansen's seat, I feel a little relieved that that's what he did with his turn. Although, you know what, I think what might be happening is that Saporito might be setting up an end hostilities here where his Fleecemane Lion survives and everything else dies.
Oh, that is
I saw him do that
cute.
earlier. Yeah, I mean, you don't see the carry-added end hostilities combo that often, but he is running it.
I mean, that's
It's
a great
in the
way
sideboard, to be fair. It comes in some matchups.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great way to deal with Stormbreath Dragon.
Another update, Randy?
Yeah, the control on control fight. Ivan Flock wins. Flock looking to go back-to-back. I think all he needs now is a draw. And the reigning Pro Tour champion
Jeez.
heads to Sunday with a shot to go back-to-back.
He got that monkey off his back, and he's like, this isn't that hard. I should have been doing this the whole time. Good for him. We'll keep a close eye on that as the standings come out for the next
on the main
round.
table, by the way, Mike Sigrist took a long think about a 6-card hand and then went down to 5.
Okay, so he's
Owen
going down to
Turtenwald
5.
may have let loose a very honest fist pump when it happened. All right, Sigrist is going to keep his 5.
Yeah, why don't we jump back over to table A here? That is our main feature match. Now, Randy, I want you to just set the stage for us here. Remember, Sigrist is playing down here. So what does
Yes.
a win mean to each player? Sigrist in any way?
Mike Sigrist still needs a draw to clinch. Maybe he can get in the 12 and 4s. You want to get to 37 points to clinch top 8. Somebody's going to get in at 36. Maybe it's a couple somebodies, but you want to get to 37 so you don't have to sweat the top 8 announcement. Sigrist on 36, so he can lose this and still get to 37 with a draw in the final round. Owen, though, is on 33 points.
He's a top 8 announcement sweating professional, though.
He's got some experience.
Yes.
He's also trying to run the back-to-back top 8s alongside Even Flock.
Right. Now, so for him, though, a win sets him up to be...
To draw in.
To draw
to
in.
tie heel,
and a
tie
loss
Sigrist
puts
at
him in
36.
that scrum of...
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that scrum has 20 people in it right now.
Okay. So
Plus,
you do not want to be in that.
And they'll
particular
still
group.
be, the losers of these feature matches will be in that scrum next round as well. So
Owen?
yeah, it's
Yeah, this is
a
huge.
lot of people.
Owen Turtenwald is currently ranked 2nd in the world, and for good reason. He really is one of the best players playing Magic today. And he's on one of the best teams playing Magic, so why not make back-to-back top 8s, Owen?
Sigrist is politely leaving face up the cards which Owen knows about from that earlier Thoughtseize.
Now, does Owen not have double blue here? Is that an Urborg underneath the swamp as well?
I think that is, and he's got Evolving Wilds, which can't tap for blue this turn, so Sigrist can resolve something as long as it doesn't get hit with Disdainful Stroke, if he has it.
Okay.
It looks like he's got just Wingmate, Rocks, and Forest. I mean, really not a bad 5-card hand, but
how bad is this? I mean, mulliganing to 5 against a control deck like Owen's that has rock hard advantage and a lot of spot removal, it's just got to be miserable for Siggy.
Oh, yeah, it's
good.
absolutely horrible. Yeah, and when your opponent thought seizes you on turn
Yes.
1, you're, I mean, the likelihood of you winning that game is extremely low. I mean, like, Sigrist has a hand that'd be, like, phenomenal in a bunch of other matchups, but he just can't expect any of these cards to resolve.
There's that disdainful stroke that you mentioned a second ago, Zach.
Or he is a reward.
Saporito takes the match 2-1 over Adam Jansen.
Wow, so Thiago Saporito from Brazil.
Yeah, the Brazilian now 1 draw away. So I've got it at 1, 2, 3 players who need to draw next round. It'll either be 4 or 5, depending on how this turns out. If Owen wins, like it looks, I don't know, he's certainly favored at this point. There'll be 5 players looking for a handshake next round to join Ari Locks and Sean McLaren.
Now, 5's kind of an awkward number when
Somebody's
you're
gonna
dealing
get
with
paired
handshakes.
down.
Yeah.
There's also,
Oh, good one.
All right, so passes the turn back. Owen Turtenwald does. He is under no pressure at 18 life, and here comes a second Siege Rhino from Sigrist, which is going to get dissolved. And Owen, you can almost sense it from him, right?
Yeah.
Like, he knows that this is his. Like, he just needs to have a reasonable draw and not screw anything up without Mike Sigrist doing anything insane, and he'll be okay. And there's a Perilous Vault to hit the battlefield for Turtenwald, even though there's nothing even there yet. He's just the preemptive Perilous Vault. And there is a Wingmate Rock. Of course, no raid has been triggered, so it's just a 3/4 for 5.
Now, Owen does not have the 5th land, or he didn't until at least this draw step. So that means he's going to take at least 1 hit from the Wingmate Rock. A bit of a not particularly notable consolation for Sigrist.
He's actually digging main phase here, so
Yep.
dig through time. This is to find a land drop, Zach.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he needs. He's got Blight, Disdainful Stroke, and another Vault in his hand. He just needs to start playing lands.
Looks like he's pulled a Hero's Downfall. And I didn't see the other one, but
Or, I mean, maybe.
There
oh,
it
okay,
is,
yeah,
yep.
Temple. That's exactly what he needs.
right, Temple of Deceit, and this is going to look at the top to try to find more lands.
It's interesting how few artifacts there are in the standard right now. Nobody can blow one up.
Go up to 18 and I
Mike
go
Sigrist doesn't have a way in either his main deck or his sideboard to destroy target artifact.
Right, and
No
interestingly,
other ends around?
A couple of erases. I mean, that's...
right, he's got a race now. Naturalize is legal in the format, and he's playing.
So is Utter
green.
End.
And Utter End, right? But just apparently saying like, look, there's going to be so
Were
few
you expecting any
artifacts.
artifacts?
No, absolutely not.
Can you name another one?
Maybe Ghost Fireblade. I don't know. I doubt it. Yeah.
All right, so Owen Turtenwald going through the motions here, though. He just played Jace's Ingenuity to find another land drop, and he hit it.
change 12.
And he seems willing to take
Yeah.
a few hits here from the
Absolutely.
Wingmate Rock. That's going to drop Owen down to 12. Still plenty of life total to work with.
Yeah, he wants to spend his mana on card drawing right now, knowing that that vault can clean up whatever Sigrist puts into play. And Sigrist doesn't really want to put anything else in play. Kind of wants to force Owen to vault away just the one creature.
I mean, that's yet another reason I love Adam Jansen's destructive revelries
Yep.
in the sideboard, because I mean, the last thing you're expecting is for your artifact or your vault to get blown up.
Looks like I think there's a Thoughtseize on the stack here
Yeah,
as I see
Owen's.
Owen jotting down hand information.
Yeah, Sigrist has been slow rolling Thoughtseize. I think he figures once he finally gets Owen to blow the disc, he can clear a path with his Thoughtseize to resolve a threat of some kind.
I mean, it's a great example of not giving up. I mean, Sigrist
Yes.
has been in a pretty horrible situation all game, but he does have a lot of resilient threats. He can work around the Bile Blights. He can work around Disdainful Stroke. To a degree, he can work around Perilous
20
Vault.
to 7.
So Owen actually took the opposing Thoughtseize to protect the answers he has in his hand. And there he is going to Hero's Downfall the Wingmate Rock and bring him one step closer to potentially back-to-back top 8s for Turtenwald.
He's got both Dissolve and Disdainful Stroke, so
Yep.
has the option of countering anything from Sigrist. I really like Heir to the Wilds here. Oh, okay, that was Soren.
He played Soren, he made a Vampire, and that prompted Owen Turtenwald to pop the Perilous Vault. Takes care of both of the threats. And he's got a backup Perilous Vault to play, and he's also got a land to drop him back up, or to bring him back up to 8 life. Ships a turn back to Sigrist, who has 2 known cards to Turtenwald. You can see them face up. They're not actually on the battlefield there.
Yep, that's fine.
I think if you're Sigrist, you're going to try to hold that Fleecemane Lion until you have access to 7 mana, allowing you to dodge both Bile Blight and Hero's Downfall. The question is what you cast until then. You've got Heir to the Wilds, which gets hit by Bile Blight, but at least represents a threat. You can solo out a Wingmate Rock.
He goes ahead and runs out the Fleecemane line.
Yeah, I liked your idea, Zach. but
That's what I was thinking he was going to do as well.
I thought
but
so too, but I think Sigrist feels like
Doesn't have that much time.
He's a little under too much pressure here to wait.
Bile Blight.
And Turtenwald has Bile Blight to take down the Fleecemane Lion, gain another life off of a Dismal Backwater, pass a turn back. And Turtenwald looks like he's in full control here. Looks like he's got this game kind of mapped out how he wants it, and he's not worried about an Heir of the Wilds on its own.
Sigrist keeping the card on top, so that means there's something coming at least that's relevant. And Turtenwald
Here's
doesn't
dig
have
through
another
time.
dig, doesn't have a Pearl Lake Ancient. So
He's
he
digging
can-
right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Just
Yep.
cast a dig.
He just dug. That was on end step. Gets
That's
a draw
pretty good.
card for the turn, gain a couple
Oh,
more life
man.
off of a Radiant Fountain.
Blue-black life gain is Owen's theme deck.
The hard way, yes.
Bile Blight.
And there's Bile Blight to take out Air of the Wilds. Remember, Perilous Vault is still sitting there as well. Now he's got 5 mana for Perilous Vault, 3 mana for Dissolve and or Hero's Downfall, of which he has both in hand. And poor Mike Sigrist here is going to have to be stuck just throwing 1 threat at a time out there, which Owen will just ruthlessly pick off.
Oh, man.
Dig through time again. And this is, look, Owen still has some work to do to actually finish this game, but casting back-to-back dig through times when you already have redundant answers in your hand, he's got to feel like it is just a matter of time for him. He's going to vault away.
And that was a very aggressive.
Rakshas's Death Dealer there. I guess he can't. I mean, he didn't have another Bile Blight?
He found another vault.
Found another vault. All right. Hero's Downfall doesn't get it done.
You can't really
there.
put 2 vaults in play. That doesn't work.
No, that's a bad Magic play.
But I mean, having 1 in play untapped, it's like having an 8th card in your hand, right? That removal spell.
It is.
Hangs
Yeah.
out.
And there's an Unoffensa now for Mike Sigrist, but it's going to get Murderous Cut. As you can see, Owen has answers for everything, and he will continue to for the rest of the game, it looks like.
And Owen just optimizing how he's going to tap his lands. Jace's Ingenuity continuing to provide cards. And those 2 dissolves mean that, a Siege Rhino even is probably not going to resolve. So Owen's life total not under a whole lot of pressure.
No, he's in full cruise control mode as well. You can see how crisp his actions are. He's done this 100 times in practice for this Pro Tour. He's been here before. The pressure is not going to bother Owen. This would be his 3rd top 8, correct? I'm pulling that off the top of my head, but I believe this would be his 3rd if he made it.
Yeah.
And he's ready for it.
And
Hey, look, a Perilous Vault.
I think that's number 4, right?
Yes.
That is the last one. So Sigrist has fought through 3 of the 4 Perilous Vaults, but he's also got, Owen sitting there with 5 or 6 cards in hand, all spells, just ready to do work.
Yep, 19.
There's a Wingmate Rock.
Good. Yep, Sigrist 19. Cut.
Murderous Cut.
Now, interestingly, Sigrist Hero's Downfall is still in this matchup. I mean, all it really does is bounce Pearl Lake Ancient.
Delay
for
a
turn,
Pearl Lake
right?
Ancient, yeah.
And it might just be a case of not having anything else to bring in.
I mean, his sideboard's got a whip, a couple Wingmate Rocks. I guess a Johnny's relevant. The rest of it is anti-creature. Blows up things that Owen doesn't have.
In Despise, you could theoretically try and hit the Ancient when
There
it's
it is.
in Owen's hand.
There it is, Zach. Pearl Lake Ancient off the top.
Ah.
They've been passing the turn furiously back and forth. Downfall. Ancient.
Ah.
Mike Sigrist at 19, facing down a 6/7 with prowess that is almost impossible to kill.
Yeah, Pearl Lake Ancient put into Cons of Tarkir by Eric Lauer because the control decks needed a way to actually win the game once they had complete control. Didn't want things to drag out forever. Put this card out there, and you know what? It's going to do exactly what it was designed to do. It's going to end this game.
And there, you just mentioned it, Zach. There's the Hero's Downfall. It doesn't even slow down the Ancient in this scenario at all. He just replayed it. In fact, he's just going to gain Owen 3 life here over the course of the next turn or 2.
11.
Sigrist plays Thoughtseize, which is going to peel
Takes one of the 2
Dissolve,
dissolves.
and there's going to be a Sorin for Sigrist, but
Yeah, Owen's like, what is that going to do, and how could it possibly matter?
so
Hero's Downfall pointed at the vampire, not the sword.
Yeah.
right, and he can just kill the Sorin here, or just aim the Pearl Lake Ancient right at Mike Sigrist
Prowess.
for a Turtun clock, and that's it. Owen Turtenwald wins. Woo! 2-1 over Mike Sigrist. And it looks like Owen may find himself in a position to draw into top 8 here, Randy.
That's how I see it.
Now, is there a chance that he gets paired up weird and ends up having to play?
Yes.
Everybody's got that chance, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way we've got it, feature match roundup for the round. We had everybody who was in there was trying to win to get to 36 points, hoping that they could draw in. Owen Turtenwald pulled it off. Mike Sigrist hanging out at 36 despite his loss. Tiago Saporito wins. He gets into that tie. Ivan Flock looking like he's going to be able to go back-to-back top 8s. taking down Greg Orange, and then Andre Strasky. So all those guys are hanging out on 36 points.
So is that 2 back-to-back top 8s, one from Owen and one from Flock, potentially?
That's what we're looking at.
I mean, that's crazy. That is an unbelievable amount of consistency. This is an entirely new standard format, entirely new draft format. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's shocking. And so Owen, I'm curious to see. We're actually going to get an interview with Owen. Rashad's down there, and we'll get down there in just a minute. Owen's kind of catching his breath, but once he does, I'm curious to see, kind of what his vibe is. Whether he's just like, this is exciting, I'm going to top it, or if he's like, one more, please let this work out the way I want it to.
It's also one more for Sean McLaren. I mean, he wasn't in the feature match area this round because he was taking a draw with Ari Lax off stage.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's send it down to the feature match area where Rashad Miller is with Owen Turtenwald.
Hi, it's Rashad Miller. I'm here with Owen Turtenwald, and it looks like you are on track to get your second top 8 in a row. Probably not the same sweat you had, at the last Pro Tour, so it must be a refreshing feeling.
No, it feels just about the same. I'm not sweating it as hard this time, but still very good.
All right, so you had an amazing year last season, and obviously one of your many accomplishments is being the leader of Team USA. So just wanted to know, how are any preparations going for the festivities and competition in Nice?
With regards to the World Magic Cup, it's kind of been on the back burner for now because the time difference between now and then is quite a lot, and I'll be able to prepare then. And I've been spending my current time preparing for this tournament, which seems like time well spent.
All right, so back to this tournament. Now, good chances are you offer the hand next round, get the draw, you're in top 8. But there was something else on the line in this match. You're the new king of the hill. So what I need to know, are you going to defend the crown next round?
I'm going to hope to draw. If that means I'm still king, then all right.
Well, I don't know if we've worked out those rules yet, but we'll find out. So that's Owen Turtenwald. We're going to send it back to the booth.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's funny watching those guys. Rashad used to drive Owen to PTQs when Owen was a kid.
Wow.
Yes, that's how far back, because they're both from the greater Midwest area.
Right.
And here's Owen, looking potentially to make another Pro Tour top 8 here if he can hang on and get a draw in the next round.
Pretty impressive.
Crazy stuff. So we've got, now I want to talk about Mike Sigrist for a minute here, though, because he was undefeated overnight. Came in, has a pretty solid day today, maybe not quite as pristine as last time, but just real quick, Randy, what needs to happen for him next round to make top 8?
He needs an opponent that'll shake hands with him.
Okay. All right, why don't we send it back to Rich Hagan, who is at the news desk to give you plenty of updates about what's going on with the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much to the 3 wise men down there in the booth. They have one more round to commentate on. We've got standings, we've got slide rules, we've got all kinds of maths going on down here at the news desk. By my reckoning, it's actually going to work out fairly straightforwardly until you get to the last slot. So right now, Mike Sigrist, who just lost to Owen Turtenwald, is on 36 points. Count up the 36 points or better as we go. He's number 1. Sean McLaren and Ari Lax, they intentionally drew with each other this last round. They're both already on 37 points, so that's 2 and 3 already at 36 points or better. Thiago Saporito, he's up to 36 points. That's number 4. Even Flock, we saw in feature match action, he won, so he's up to 36 points. Number 5. Andre Strasky, 36 points. Number 6. Owen Turtenwald, 36 points. Number 7. And that's where it stops. So then you have all the players who are on 33, which include, not exclusively, Spencer Garnier, you've got Greg Orange, you've got Adam Jansen, Yuya Watanabe, Li Shi-chan is there, Zach Jesse there, Yoshihiko Ikawa, Jacob Pleasance, and more as results come in. All of those on 33. Now, Yuya Watanabe was very highly positioned in terms of tie breaks amongst the 33s. Greg Orange, round somewhere in the middle there, 61, 62. It is going to be super tight. We think it could well just come down to the last round tie break lottery. Who makes it just one? But that all depends how the pairings go. We don't have pairings yet. We don't have definitive standings after 15. But right now, if you want a back-of-the-envelope calculation, Sigrist, McLaren, Lax, Saporito, Flock, Strasky, and Turtenwald are all looking to shake hands in the next round. Everyone else is looking to shuffle up and pray. So, it's deck tech time. It's our final deck tech of the Swiss rounds. We've crammed 9 of them in for you. Here's number 9. It's time to go over to Brian David Marshall and Greg Orange.